I'm live. Entree. Entree.
Nicole Mayo.
I saw that.
DeMayo, I guess.
DeMayo.
DeMayo, indeed. Do you have much? How much slides there?
Many.
When's the last slide?
I just started the fight song.
Yes.
But it does.
Yeah. Do you know if there's a garage video?
Yes. It's in the previous speech.
No.
It's a yes.
Oh, it's a yes.
In a flash.
No fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
Well, you'll still sure find out after this.
This is just for you.
This is just like shameless.
It's just like
It's just like,
you're
That's
out of it.
it's just like mostly like.
Yeah, literally.
I said.
How's it going, Max?
It's good.
Good.
Yep.
When are you coming to Connecticut?
Sunday.
Sunday dinner tonight this week?
No, I have to work next week. But the one after that.
Sunday after that.
Yeah. It's really, what about you?
I don't know. I think I guess I'm just
Sunday after the
You're really picking your.
yeah, no, shut up. We're supposed to do the
I'm not going to do it because I don't have extra better. Oh,
yeah.
I give it a 91%.
Well, maybe something. I
I guess something like this. It's like so yes. Realizing now it's tough. That's I think one day we just like trying to get away with but only like only looking for performance. So I think back to back really helps. Yeah, and I even noticed that even like emotional state so I think it just helps. Being able to do this back to back and it just has. She does. Oh, you can pay most spots. You really do. Right, but like the last 7 years but it's beginning not what I would have signed up for, but like I was just like, hey, I'm taking to a show.
Yes, yes.
Yeah? Most must itself. Hiding is good. Hiding is exactly cocoon type shit. That's crazy. What's it like? Yeah, it's big and it's red. Windows. Wait, hold on. You need to be studying. Everyone else has plans. I don't know. It's hard for me to understand. What is that? I'm not prepared.
So it might be nice.
Maybe all we do is we What the fuck? That's crazy, dude. I'm from Ohio. Like, I don't even know what that is like. What if we all met on the class? I do get angry. I get angry every day on my transit. I think if I'm walking behind people and I don't have a choice to like go around them and they're walking not as fast, I have an impulse to just like shut up. No, there are these there was this like period of time where I was like, I'm turning into an angry person.
I mean, it would be great to do that. I'd say it's exactly no, because I'm drinking this stuff. You know, it's hot. I would love
You just like know it's mandatory. So I'm like, dude, like, I love this for you, but like,
they don't talk
to work.
It must be too. And actually, I would the streets are coming out. Like, he didn't eat, I wouldn't know about it. But then it's something that was did anybody else know? There was a much serious. So I took the
You must have. I had to. Right.
I get that.
It looks like corduroy, but it doesn't feel like corduroy.
Okay. I
It's a different texture. Yeah, but it's something else is going on the inside. Yeah.
And so then I really feel that I had to unpack my class and then I go, and then I see this woman like just in her face. Nothing. Yeah, and like by the way, no reservation. But she was like doing something I've literally never seen before. And I like you could just say like reservation. Like you just do this that neither of us have to do. So it's like okay, creating values like that like you're like so that's what trying to figure out
Keep going, girly.
Everybody do not steal other people's I'm talking to you, Joshua.
Hello, all. Thank you for. Look at that. Thank you all for coming out tonight to Chronic Responsibility, a musical solo show written and performed by Bianca Barragan. I am Trevor Markanovic. If you don't know me, I'm creative director of MCS, and I have the humble privilege of being director of this piece. Just a few quick announcements before we start. In the unlikely event of an emergency, the two exits are the door where you likely came in through, and the stage door right here. Knock the props down if you need to. Your life is worth more than a whiteboard. And then the only other thing, you have the express permission and blessing of Bianca and the musicians to take photo and video if you so desire of tonight's performance. Just, and to quote Bianca, for the love of all that is holy on this planet, please turn off your flash so we can give you the most uninterrupted, undistracted performance possible. And one last to do, we do have a QR code on the wall there after the show. We would love to have your feedback about it. It is still a work in progress. She's going to be presenting it again in March. So we would love to know your feedback on different aspects of the show if you so desire to share with us. And without further ado, Chronic Responsibility.
I'm awkward. My best friend's a cat. My head's not really meant for hats. Yeah, I'm awkward. I have 2 left feet. I often say the word yeet. But can't you see how being ordinary is something that I never could? I'm awkward, but hey, awkward is good. I'm awkward, alcohol allergy, too much reality TV. Yeah, I'm awkward. Sometimes called being not bumbled, but being awkward. Screaming into the void is sometimes the only choice. Awkward. Turn me way up to drown out the noise. Speak really loud, stand out in the crowd by going way under or over the dress code. Always in crazy mode, stuck in the friend zone. But hey, that's me, and being awkward is the only way I know how to be. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little bit awkward. Don't want to kiss, I often make a face like this. Yeah, I'm awkward. If I were a cat, I would say hiss. Speak really loud, stand out in the crowd. I'm going way under, over the dress code. Always in crazy mode, stuck in the friend zone. But hey, that's me, and being awkward is the only way I know how to be. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little bit awkward. Don't have too many friends, but the fun never ends. Yeah, I'm awkward. I got so many problems you could not comprehend. But can't you see how being ordinary is something that I never could? I'm awkward, but hey, you know, awkward is good. Awkward is good. Awkward is I started writing that song, which, by the way, has nothing to do and also everything to do with the show this evening, 15 years ago. I started writing it at the age of 12 years old and just finished writing it this year at the age of 27. So if we just do... So it took me 15 years to finish this song. And it's honestly a great turnaround for me. The fact that it's finished is enough for me to celebrate. You know, at least it's written. Forget that it took 15 years. Really, what this number tells me is that the productivity level of Bianca is at an all-time high. And so I will say hi to you all, and welcome to Chronic Responsibility. Now, a few more rules before we continue. Please be vocal in your theatrical experience. You know, hoot, holler, praise Jesus. If I say something funny, you may laugh. If I say something sad, you may cry. The second rule is if you need to pee during the show or leave for any reason, please do. You might miss something very profound and excellent, but there is also nothing truly more profound and excellent than emptying your bladder when you need to. So these are the only rules. Well, yes, allow me to introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. My name is Bianca Barragan, which translates to white. Bianca means white, and Barragan means strong man. And thus you have me, a white strong man. Yeah. Thank you. That's true. I have a certificate. I'll show you. Okay? Yes, I use she or they pronouns, and I am a musician, a comedian, an actor, a singer, a teacher, and I live with a chronic illness. And I've gathered you all here today to educate, to inspire, to sing, to laugh, to learn, to cry, to listen, to collect data, to bear witness, to discuss the craziness of living with a chronic illness and how with a chronic illness comes great chronic responsibility. Yes, I'm the one who coined this phrase, by the way. It was me who came up with it, no one else. One day my mother was complaining about all the exercises she had to remember to do for her neck injury, and I said, yes, mother, with a chronic illness comes great chronic responsibility. Oh, I almost forgot. Most importantly, we are here to share and to hold space about chronic illnesses because I am sick and tired of hiding and being secretive about mine. Being an artist has given me a major chronic responsibility to share, and I want to share the full Bianca, all the truth, from beginning to end. And through my story, I hope my chronic illness siblings out there can know that you are not alone. I see you. Oh, Lord, do I see you? And I hope you, the normie, who does not have a chronic illness, learns a thing or two about mine, and thus myself. #connection. Yes. Well, I'm actually pretty sure that there are many of us here that do have a chronic illness. Did you know that over 60% of the population lives with a chronic illness? Yeah. So who here has got one of those? Well, actually, let us thank you, but let's define what a chronic illness is first. Yes, which the CDC defines conditions that last 1 or more years and require ongoing medical attention or limit activities of daily living or both. Please also know that according to the CDC, mental illnesses like anxiety and depression are also considered to be chronic illnesses. So yes, who here has got everyone? Everyone has one. Yes, and I'm sure that you can agree that your chronic illness, and I'll put that there, has given you oodles of chronic responsibility to your health, physical, mental, life, other things, because it's never just one thing, people. Chronic illness is debilitating. It's isolating. It's hard. It is not cute, and it has shaped my entire life tremendously. So let's get ready to dive a little deeper. It did not really become clear to me until the 2020 pandemic times how much of an impact my chronic illness had on my life. And it still wasn't even until the beginning of this year that I really started to decipher what my chronic illness means to me. I had not realized how much of the shame was holding me back in every aspect of my life. I spent the beginning of this year and 27 years before then really just hiding and angry and hurt and in so much pain. But to the pain, I say no more. That is enough. That is quite enough. So let us get into what my chronic illness even is, which leads me to the second polling of the room. Lots of data we're collecting today, people. So yes, now you must listen to this question very carefully. Oh, so very, very carefully. You must listen to this question. Whomst here among us does not, I repeat, does not menstruate? Be brave. Yes, good, be brave. Very good. Now, of all those people, and those people only, do you know what these are? Yes, in the back.
They are pads and tampons.
Good. This is good. This is a good answer. Anyone else have an answer? We're not feeling brave enough. It's because you're wrong is the thing about it. You're very, very wrong. Yes, these could be pads, it's true. But actually what these are the only pads that Bianca can use when Bianca is on her period. For if Bianca does not use these exact pads, Bianca will bleed all over you. Why? Why do you ask? Oh yes, because the chronic illness that Bianca has causes intense menstrual bleeding. So much so that I go through one whole pack of these in a matter of 5 days. Sometimes a little bit more. Yeah. The chronic illness that Bianca has is a disease called endometriosis. Now, if you do a little quick googly search, you'll find many definitions of endometriosis, but I find this one to be the most thorough and all-encompassing. Endometriosis, a disorder in which tissue similar to the tissue that lines the uterus grows outside the uterus in places where it doesn't belong. This tissue thickens, breaks down, and bleeds with each period, but the blood has no way to leave the body and becomes trapped. Painful periods are common with endometriosis. Also common is heavy bleeding or pain during sex or when having a bowel movement or urinating. Having trouble getting pregnant is also common with endometriosis. Pain medication and hormone therapy may ease symptoms. Now, let me put that into my own words. Paraphrase, if you will, for I am no plagiarizer, and I don't want to get points taken off. Or worse, expelled. Bianca's definition of endometriosis. A disease characterized by painful, heavy menstruation, and no one knows why the fuck it happens because no one has taken the time to study in depth the female body. The disease includes feeling pain all the time, feeling sudden, sharp, intense pain for no known reason, never feeling 100% okay in your body, not hitting romantic milestones in your 20s like losing your virginity because your pelvis is inflamed, hating your entire existence, leading you to turn to drinking, and then ultimately leading you to become an actor. Now, I can tell that many of us are shocked, confused perhaps, that this can happen in one's body. So a diagram I will draw. And through the diagram, I will explain. But what you must understand is that endometriosis, like all uterine diseases, is heavily under-researched. And that research is heavily underfunded. So the causes of endometriosis are really just like theories and hypotheses, and the general vibe among doctors is, I don't know. But what I will draw in this diagram is one of the leading theories as to how it works. In America, in New Zealand and Australia, where they actually put money into research for this disease, they reject this diagram entirely. But I am so serious when I say no one knows what's going on. So if you take a look at my diagram here, the person, this is a uterus, the person with endometriosis bleeds once a month during the cycle of menstruation. But there is so much blood that accumulates. No one knows why, and it starts to accumulate so much that it starts to retrograde flow out of the uterus and deposit all over the body, in the hips, in the upper thighs, in the abdomen. I read an article once where they found this deposited tissue all the way up in someone's brain. Well, actually, they found endometriosis on every single major organ in the body. And now that the deposited tissue is outside of the uterus, it still thinks it's in the uterus, and it's like, oh, let me do my job. I can do my job because it's done. And every month, when it's time to bleed in the cycle again, the tissue bleeds all over the internal organs and all inside a person's body, becoming trapped and solidifying into lesions, which can flare up with stress from exercise or stress from everyday life, and causing what can only be described as excruciating pain. This is the disease that I have. More importantly, this disease affects 1 out of 10 people with uteruses in the world. And now that research is showing that number is more like 3 out of 10 or even 4 out of 10. You know someone who has endometriosis. I mean, me, obviously. But you also know someone else who has endometriosis. Multiple someones. Hell, you might even have it yourself. You also know someone who has a chronic illness that they have kept or currently keep secret because it's taboo, because they're ashamed, because they're exhausted from trying to survive each day to try to explain to you the complicated shit that is happening inside their body. But again, tonight we are breaking through all of that because all of that holding back has not been good for my endometriosis. So isolating. So hashtag not connecting. You know? So really, this show is for my own health and wellness. Really, this show is for me. And for you, it is for us. Hashtag connection. So, the story of my chronic illness is as follows. I got my period at the most brilliant age of 9 years old. And it was wild. It was 3 weeks after this picture was taken on my 4th grade picture day that my life changed forever. It was a brisk fall October day when I got my period. Me and my mom were dropping off my sister at a birthday party, and then my mom was going to take me to soccer practice because, yes, I was an elementary school soccer star. And I asked to use the bathroom at the party and found, to my surprise, that there was a surprise for me. But I was like, this certainly cannot be happening. Like, I know people said that it would happen because I started going through puberty at the age of 5, but this concept of blood leaving your vagina at age 9 is just preposterous and doesn't feel real to me. So I'll just ignore it. But then I got really very scared. You see, the biggest driving factor that led me down my eventual path of depression in my earlier 20s was that I did not want to be different. And blood leaving vaginas at age 9 is like peak different. It does not get much more different than that. So as we were walking to the car, I told my mom, and the last thing I wanted to happen happened. We went back into the party, and my mom asked the birthday mom for a pad and made this whole big deal about, oh, she's a woman now. Like, isn't that ridiculous? So many adults after I got my period were like, "You're a woman now, Bianca."
Ew.
Like, what does that even mean?
Ew.
Because if being a woman means painful bleeding from vaginas at age 9, that could one day turn into a baby if some sperm and a penis came along to change up the cycle of menstruation, then I don't want to be a woman. I want to be Bianca. But over the course of my 4th grade year, it quickly became very clear to me that in order to be Bianca, I had to be a 9-year-old woman and carry the burden of all the things that went with that. After my first period ended, it also became very clear to me that I had to be very secretive about my newfound womanhood as to not upset or disturb or confuse my fellow 9-year-old classmates, because for those of you that don't know, it was like so rare back in 2007 for 9-year-olds to get their periods. It's more of a thing now, you know, with those good old American GMOs and hormones and the poor stress these children are living under this day and age. And also apparently it's just more prevalent in African American communities, as if we didn't have enough to deal with already. Anyway, I had to keep my new secret a secret. Like, keep it to myself and only myself. Don't tell a single soul. Don't even tell your best friend, and stop that shit way deep down inside. Definitely exacerbating the chronic illness that was taking hold. I had to keep that kind of secret. And that was proving to be impossible, mostly because I, as a 9-year-old, had no understanding of what it meant to take care of your menstrual cycle, how many pads you should wear in a day, how often you should change pads, don't wear clothes that are too uncomfortable or make leaking easier, and oh Lord, I leaked a lot. Bled all over my 4th grade classroom once during reading time, and that was because I had the telltale signs of endometriosis, heavy. And I do mean heavy period flow, so much so that must now use these and only these until the end of time. I did get better at dealing with my secret though, concealing it, and thus concealing parts of my very excellent self. Like when I would be on my period and have to go to school, I would put my pads in a brown purse that I would take to the bathroom. And when someone would ask me what they were, I would be like, this, nothing. It is nothing. It's nothing at all. One time a boy asked me, and I just kicked him in the shin because I didn't know what else to do. Really. One day, though, it got so unbearable not to tell anyone, like I had to tell someone. So as we sat on the carpet for that classic elementary school reading time, I shouted out, "I have my period!" To which everyone gasped, and one boy hysterically laughed in my face. I ran out into the hallway crying. My teacher quickly had to do some damage control, and she came out into the hallway, and she told me that she told everyone that I have the thing at the end of my sentence. I'm good at punctuation. That seemed to do the trick of keeping the other 9-year-olds in their blissful ignorance while I got to stay in special 9-year-old adult land. Why did everyone get to be sheltered but me? Why did I have to be a woman at 9 while others got to be 9 at 9 and not have to worry about bleeding everywhere for a 5-day period once a month? Elementary school quickly ended with some semblance of my budding Bianca-ness intact. And then, oh Lord, it was time to move on to middle school. Yeah. I remember very much looking forward to middle school though. I was very excited to take on higher learning, and even excited to also audition for the very popular and somewhat incestuous school play. I was also excited to not stick out anymore. In addition to keeping a very secret in elementary school, everyone was also terrified of me. I was 5'8" by the age of 10 and also already burdened with the responsibility of my own fertility. I was so ready to just be normal, to sit in class like everyone else and just blend in. I do remember not being so thrilled about gym class or physical education, as we were routinely corrected to say. Everyone knows that the town pool is connected to the middle school, but what a lot of people don't know is that those esteemed physical education teachers use that pool for their gym classes. Now, I don't think it's exactly fair to force maturing girls and boys to swim around in ill-fitting swimsuits in front of their peers. It's also not exactly fair that 1 in 10,000 girls goes through puberty before the age of 8, and that I, scary 5'8" Bianca, happened to be one of the chosen ones. I do remember feeling a sense of dread when my first gym class in the pool lined up with one of my periods. And I guess that morning, when I leapt into the pool, overflown tampon and all, was supposed to be one of those like life-changing moments where I discover who I truly am. Like my brain was supposed to say, oh, it's all right, Bianca, because this is life. And it's beautiful and messy and filled with menstruation. But that's not what my brain said. As the blood from my confused body colored the water around me red, all I could hear my brain say was, see, you aren't human. And I'm smart. I'm actually very smart. I like to take ideas and logically extrapolate off of them. So my smart brain concluded that if I were not human, then perhaps it would be best if I didn't exist. My mother didn't really know what to do with that information. My father, bless his twisted heart, told me that I shouldn't say those kinds of things because then someone might actually believe me. So I shut my mouth, returned to school, and kept going. Kept going through those 3 years and into high school, telling my best friends in the 9th grade that I didn't want to exist anymore because my brain kept feeding me this lie that I accepted as my truth. I kept going, stuffing down anything and everything joyful and letting bitter, hateful, resentful curmudgeon Bianca bubble to the surface. I think I just have to put it in perspective, though, and know that it's not my fault that I took dramatic twists and turns to be on the stage before you tonight. Endometriosis in the beginning stages of my life truly just eroded at a personality that I never had time to develop. And now 18 years later, it's still hard to know that that experience was my experience. And it's even harder to know that after 18 years, I'm still picking up the pieces of a little girl that was never put together in the first place. I think that I block out the past a lot of the time because I hate that I had to keep who I was and what I was going through a secret. And I guess I started to hate it so much that I wrote a whole show about it just to fully come out of my chronic illness closet. People just never understood because they were never given the opportunity to. I mean, I wasn't given the opportunity to. And it's taken me so long to be able to even describe how I feel inside my own body. But I guess, in addition to being an artist, endometriosis has given me a major chronic responsibility to share and describe how I feel. And it's very hard to describe. And maybe you won't even understand. 1, 2, 3. Broken bottles in flames, broken glass coursing through my veins, a promise of pleasure, but all I feel is pain. A promise of pleasure, but you don't feel the same. You don't feel the same. Can't feel my pain. For you, it is perfect. For me, you'll never know, never know. You'll never feel the same. Everyone heals with time. Everyone heals with time. Back to my mind, oh, everyone heals with time. When you don't feel the same, no, 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 no. you'll never feel the same. I guess one good thing that came out of my earlier experiences with my endometriosis is that I started becoming an artist. A few weeks after that swimming pool incident, I started taking voice lessons. I started writing songs like the opening number of the show. This was also around the time that I adopted my bestest friend, my kitty cat Jupiter, who would become my rock through the next 14 years as I figured out how to survive with all this. The rest of middle school was pretty okay. Everyone else got their period, which was nice. But then high school and college came and everyone just started thirsting for sex. Oh. Sex for many people, right, is sex equals good. Sex equals great. Sex equals lit. Sex equals the only thing in this world. Sex equals my morning, noon, and night. Like, sex has got some of you in a vicious chokehold. Do you realize this? Vicious. Like, when I was on dating apps in college, just fucking around and finding out, I would tell people that I was a virgin, and they would be like, oh my God, you need sex. It's the only natural human thing. You need it. No wonder you are depressed. You need sex. I'm so sorry. I have a chronic inflammatory pelvic disease. It is actually not natural for me. For Bianca, actually, sex equals NA or not applicable. Sex equals not very good. Sex equals not very lit. And I'm just so very okay with that. I'm living my life perfectly fine without sex. So maybe you all need to have a come to Jesus with that, because my God, the lengths some of you will go to have some sexual intercourse, my God. But obviously, my opinions of sex have obviously been tremendously colored by my having endometriosis. I didn't really start making sense of that until an endometriosis gynecologist that I was working with inquired if I had ever been molested as a child, because there was a correlation between that and having endometriosis later in life. Well, actually, did you know that sexual abuse as well as emotional abuse in childhood is linked to having endometriosis later in life? Let's read more in our big book of science. Yes? The big book of science, yes. The big book of science tells us, independent of clinical comorbidities, maltreatment during childhood correlates with an impaired function of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and a chronic inflammatory state. Translation: no matter what other health issues someone might have, being mistreated emotionally and sexually as a child is linked to problems with a part of the brain that helps control stress and hormones. These problems can lead to ongoing inflammation in the body, resulting in endometriosis. After the gynecologist asked me this question, though, I was like, no, whatever. No, this has not happened to me. And then I invited a guy, named Guy, yes, over to my apartment. And consensual lines were so very crossed, because obviously if you invite someone over to your apartment, that obviously means that you will have sex with them. And after he left, I had a very nauseating feeling like something like this had happened before. Very traumatizing deja vu. Those memories came flooding back to me where I could articulate that, yes, I was molested as a child, like age 6, 7, by my friends. I guess going through puberty at a very young age and having boobs by the age of 7 is just very interesting. It's just very intriguing. I guess it would then make sense for my friends to want to come over and have play dates and practice having sex with me in my own bed. I guess having the friends tell me that they wouldn't be my friends anymore if I told anyone caused stress to build up in my body as I was going through puberty. And I guess enough stress got built up to create a whole ass chronic illness with no cure. And just being a black child in America definitely did not help either. All the cards were stacked against me, but what can you do? It's very interesting, though, how sexual abuse in childhood can be linked to endometriosis later in life. #science. #learning. And I know that I'm not alone in my experience. It happened to me, and no, I have not figured out how to bounce back from it. And I would like to figure that out. I guess it would help me so much if I figured out how do I get my body connected back to my mind. See what I did there? I told you a lyrical origin story. Sang you a part of the song. I am pretty clever. And I guess if I figured that out, then maybe I could have sex. Would have sex. But also probably not. Because sex isn't great for everyone. Some of us have only ever been assaulted. Sex isn't great for everyone, but I'm glad it's great for you. So yeah, 27 years old, and I don't have sex, never have. I do go back and forth on whether my opinions of sex are because I am asexual or because of my chronic illness. We're just flip-flopping back and forth between those two, but should get to an answer and let you know soon. Oh, see, perhaps I am asexual because of my chronic illness. See, that's very fascinating. It's fair, but there's no rush to figure this out because I'm not infatuated with sex. But I would like to, do it one day. I have fantasies, but also must continue to practice intimacy with myself, which up until recently just did not exist. I mean, it was sort of difficult after bleeding in the pool at 11 years old to practice any sort of being kind to myself in any capacity. Let us discuss this upsetting story in more detail because I think it is important to note how that swimming pool incident launched me into years of alcohol abuse. #sharing is healing. That day in the pool was the day that I know that I started to violently hate myself, like actively and relentlessly. I blamed myself for what happened. Like, why couldn't I just suck up all the blood, back up my vagina, and do a swimming pool class like a normal, regular person and not have to use pads and tampons and all this other shit? Why can't I just be normal? Normal! This idea of normal has always just plagued my mind. But truly, when the swimming pool incident happened, I was only 11 years old, with virtually no understanding of menstrual flow regulation. I mean, of course I wouldn't have been able to suck up all the blood, back up my vagina. This is just not even possible. I also wasn't even diagnosed with endometriosis until I was 21. 21, yes. It takes on average 10 years for people to finally be given an endometriosis diagnosis after being called crazy or drug addicts or delusional and making up their pain. It's just dumb idiot doctors. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that all that back and forth from doctor to doctor and not being taken seriously and bleeding in pools in front of your entire 6th grade gym class and hypermasculine gym teacher can lead some folks to some serious suicidal ideation. And that day in the pool started a snowball effect of very bad suicidal thoughts that avalanched when I started drinking. It was not until the evening of my senior prom that I took my first shot of Tito's vodka, and what little idea I had of taking care of myself just went flying out the window. What a lot of people from my college life will especially have a hard time believing is that before this shot of Tito's vodka, high school Bianca was like, no, alcohol bad. Drugs bad. Not for Bianca. Not because I had any care to take care of my endometriosis. No, remember, I wasn't diagnosed with it until I was 21. I didn't do all these classic high school things because I was a square. But I quickly transformed into a more drunker trapezoid when I realized that drinking completely made my emotional and physical pain disappear. I loved it. I loved being able to transform into the Bianca that forgot that she had this thing inside of her. Forgot about everything bad. Drinking gave me the permission to fully feel joy from the inside. But from the outside, oh Lord, it was really fucked up. That bitter, hateful, resentful curmudgeon Bianca grew into something stronger with every drink. And many people loved that version of Bianca and would gravitate towards her because she was funny and blunt and charismatic and very cool and would party hard. And all that partying only led to more thoughts of suicide, and those thoughts of suicide only led to more drinking. Like, like when I went to a prestigious opera program in Germany the summer after I graduated from college. I had just finished a month-long run of The Marriage of Figaro, singing the comedic role of Marcellina. That's me with the feather duster. That time in my life presented me with the very, very real and scary premise of life outside of my collegiate bubble, and how to even get a foothold in this industry with a Bachelor of Arts in music. I think it was the first time that anxiety was also added to my mix of emotions. That post-graduation doom of truly not knowing what you're supposed to do next. So I would skip rehearsals to sleep because my body was so inflamed from my chronic illness. And then I would go out at night to drink. And then at the closing night cast party, subconsciously decided that I would drink more than I ever had before, because truly, what was supposed to happen next? Drinking was the only thing that completely got rid of all the pain, even if just for a night. And that was magical. And there are consequences to such magic, and a lot of reevaluating that takes place after you wake up from binge drinking the night before in a foreign country, not knowing how you got to bed, and then viciously packing to make your train and almost throwing up on the train, and then making it to your hotel room at 6 p.m. and shutting off all the lights and going to sleep because you are still hungover from the night before. Well, and even after all that, I still came back to New York and won an open bar that I gladly accepted with my friends because I still wanted to be pain-free and normal. And of course, drinking made me neither pain-free nor normal. It just made me depressed, made my suicidal thoughts worse. Made my endometriosis worse. Like, alcohol is a major poison, right? But to an endometriosis person, it is like death, poison death, because you are adding inflammation to an already inflammatory process. Everything just got so much worse. And then 7 months later, the pandemic hit, and I was so graciously given the time to confront those issues and fix them. And I so loathe that we have to be the ones to fix our own problems. Even if they were given to us by a chronic illness, we have to be the ones to implement healthy coping skills to get us from point A to point B, or D, or LMNOP, or wherever we're going. That Germany experience showed me that we have such a chronic responsibility to take accountability for ourselves, to show up, to stay, even when our brain is telling us to do the opposite. But how do you even do that? I know I didn't know how. And even all the things I knew how to do to make my life easier, I just tossed to the side because alcohol was normal. Alcohol was easier. You also just get to a point with your chronic illness where there are no answers and nothing else but drinking is working. I can now look back at that time in my life and know unequivocally that drinking plus Bianca equals bad suicidal thoughts, very bad endometriosis flare-ups, and as of this year, anaphylactic shock. Oh, it's comforting to know that I am safely on the other side of nights of 12 shots, 3 Aperol spritzes, and Lord God knows even how much wine. I know my endometriosis thanks me for it. Bianca of the past always was just like, shout it out, twist off the cap and let it drown you out. Can't seem to stop, never enough, never full. Finding strength at the bottom of the bottle. But then during the pandemic, it was like a little voice, like Bianca of the future, kept popping up, speaking to me, saying, time to ascend. They say the start is the best place to begin. Put down the sword, now struggling ain't no sin. It's hard to cross when you don't know your way. So you learn to let it go. All you think you know, you open up your heart and the walls stop caving in. You blow decay and flow into your best friend. You find another reason to love again and stay. Stay. I want you to stay. Side down, comfortable feelings that just can't stick around. Valued and nothing, so you stay on the ground. It's easier to ignore what they say. Dreams do come true, you know, but you don't believe it. So when things don't go right, you declare it's the end. Still you grow and ebb and flow into your best friend. You find another reason to love again. Come true, and so you learn to take it slow. Change bubbling inside that you just can't comprehend. You glow, decay, and flow into your best friend. 'Cause there's so many reasons to love again. And stay I shall. Part of fixing my relationship with alcohol in 2020 was learning how to truly and fully take care of my endometriosis and learning the true nature of the disease, which is on the CDC's list of top 20 most painful diseases to live with. And learning how to subtract alcohol and add healing habits is hard. I mean, it still is very hard. So very hard to stay consistent. I mean, it's very hard to stay consistent with anything when you have a chronic illness. There's so much to do to maybe feel like 80% well for like an hour or two. For example, this is the list of all the things that I have to do to maybe feel 80% well throughout the days. Yeah, it's a lot. Yes, the things I need to do are things that need to happen. Yes. Number one, have a tremendous amount of luck come my way, like that of someone with no generational trauma or curses. Starting off strong. Number two, exercise every day, but not too much that I stress my body out and create stress lesions from my endometriosis, causing more pain that is debilitating and will 9 times out of 10 leave me bedridden. Number three, keep up to date with various doctor's appointments and specialists, making sure my endometriosis isn't getting out of hand. And sometimes shelling out a $75 copay to have a 3-minute conversation about staying on a specific medicine. Number 4, water, obviously. Number 5, eat a gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, alcohol-free, unprocessed food diet, and hope I don't go into anaphylactic shock, which happened twice earlier this year. Number 6, take 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate for the nerve pain. Number 7, take 2,000 milligrams of turmeric pills or 1 turmeric latte for the antioxidants. Number 8, take 165 milligram slow iron pill as to not hurt my tummy tum-tum and fortify the red blood cells. Number 9, birth control pills so that my uterine cysts don't overgrow and burst in my body, which has happened before. Number 10, antidepressant. This is self-explanatory. Number 11, foam roll my leg muscles. Number 12, conduct an ancient Mayan or Vigo massage on my abdomen at least once, but would be better if it was twice a day. This is real. I will show everyone later after the show. Yes. Number 13, regulate my emotions as to not cause stress lesions in my body. Number 14, get good sleep to heal in the nighttime. Number 15, don't drink coffee, which as a teacher, this is not going to happen. Number 16, eliminate stress from home and work and all of life, again, to combat those stress lesions. Number 17, speak kindly to myself as to not put stress on my body from my verbal words because of the goddamned stress lesions. Number 18, live with at least 2 cats because humans are infuriating sometimes and exacerbate, yes, you guessed it, the stress lesions. Now, just so we are all very clear, all be on the stand. Thank you. All 18 of these things absolutely do not happen every day. I'm lucky if I do like 5 of them. Sometimes I do maybe half of one, because sometimes the chronic illness is just chronic illnessing and prevents you from doing what you need to do. Oh, but also most of the time, 'tis I that can get in my own way of achieving what I need to do. Can't blame the chronic illness for everything. It's just very hard, you know, because it feels like endometriosis is a part of me, because it's inside of me, right? And to take care of my endometriosis, I have to take care of myself. And to take care of myself, I have to take care of my endometriosis. And, oh, it can be so hard to take care of yourself. Like 18 things is too many things. And I am pretty sure I'm missing many more things. But I simply cannot be expected to do all of these things just to maybe feel 80% well. And what is even harder is when I fall short of taking care of myself and just forget about the list entirely and let my chronic illness run rampant. And accepting the chronic responsibility of forgiving those shortcomings, ooh, is a tall order. I remember I first dabbled with this idea of self-forgiveness when I started drinking in high school. After maybe like the 3rd night of binge drinking, the weight of what I had put myself through finally hit the morning after, and I got so desperate not to feel that shitty feeling anymore that I looked up a how to forgive yourself video on YouTube. Because I just needed a voice to drown out the evil hungover ones that were swirling around in my head calling me a piece of shit. But there was also a part of me that was like, why should I feel guilty? I was in pain all the time with no answer as to why. So I would continue to drink. And of course, every morning would not feel good afterwards. Especially the morning after I got blackout drunk at a summer stock cast party and had my high school age little sister come pick me up. Oh, a suffocating guilt lingered after that. That took months to get over. And my relationship with alcohol and how it affects my chronic illness isn't the only thing that has caused me to face this, that has forced me to face this very, very scary idea of self-forgiveness. I have done many things that I'm embarrassed of, and some things that I very much deeply regret. Like one morning, my junior year of high school, I peed, not college, junior year of college, I peed on my floor, on my dorm room floor, because I had slept naked and didn't have enough time to get dressed and walk so far down the hallway to the bathroom. Or, oh dear, this is a bad one. Or when I started going out to dinner in high school with my friends, and I was only tipping 10% because I didn't realize that you have to double the number after you move the decimal. Or, oh dear, or when I was a junior in college and wrote down very mean things in a notebook about people out of profound insecurity and guilt and lack of self-awareness and emotional regulation, and then had that notebook be found and turned into a member of campus administration, forcing my friends to insist that I take a semester off from college to better myself. That was some really fucked up shit. And took years to learn how to forgive myself for that one. But I sense, let us poll the room again. And I think my pen dropped, but that's okay. I'll remember. Who here has also done something fucked up? Yeah? Everyone. That's the point. Yeah, I'll remember everyone. Same answer as before. Yes, and we have all fallen short of practicing that very difficult thing to do, self-forgiveness. I would argue that self-forgiveness is like the hardest thing to do in this world. Well, actually, no. That and living in America and not growing violently angry about the political system and geometry. Geometry is very hard. Like, why do I have to prove that a triangle is a triangle? It's a triangle. Just look at it. Oh, anyway, once I started to commit myself to that chronic responsibility of self-forgiveness and taking care of myself, those horror stories from the past just faded away, and I started to create new beautiful ones. Like when I stopped eating gluten, and I was like, oh wow, there is no longer a fire burning inside my stomach all the time that makes me want to die. This is amazing. It starts to become so fun taking care of yourself. See how many days you can set a goal and then crush it for yourself? Waking up and going on a walk instead of throwing up in the bathroom of a brunch establishment because you drank too much the night before. It starts to become so fun taking care of yourself because it makes you feel good. Like opposite of soul-crushing shame good. Opposite of chronic illness flare-up good. Like when I'm doing all 18 of these things, I'm on top of the motherfucking world. Even if I do just feel 80%. 80% is the new 1,000,000% when you have endometriosis. And I slip up. And I feel negative 1,000,000% on so many days. But I have learned that we all have a chronic responsibility to get back up, to get back on track. And most importantly, we have a chronic, ooh, and I do mean a chronic responsibility to not be so damn fucking hard on ourselves. Our worst acts and our worst days and those horror stories from the past that can sometimes replay on loop in our minds do not make us bad people. I've heard it said that A plus B does not equal C, and I hope we can all remember that. For example, if we substitute A, Bianca and the whole notebook situation at college, plus B, Bianca scaring her sister and getting blackout drunk, does not equal C. Bianca is the worst person ever and needs to put herself down constantly day in and day out. Or, if we substitute A, Bianca does not take her magnesium supplements that are essential for the pain in her pelvis to be somewhat bearable, plus B, Bianca having a terrible endometriosis flare-up, does not equal C. Bianca should return to her drinking ways. A plus B does not equal C. This is what we all have to chronically remember. Because forgiving ourselves is a part of taking care of ourselves. Ooh, maybe that's number 19 on the list. Because no matter what those crazy voices in your head say, you just gotta Forgive. Even when I fuck up, I am worthy. You gotta clap your hands together and say, praise me. Ain't nothing in this life getting the better of me. I'll take nothing in this life as a guarantee. So I let it all loose and let it just be. Forgive. Eternally grateful for the me that is me. Mistakes will be made, smiles turn to frowns. Accountability can never get you down, so just sit your life around and just settle it down. 'Cause the voices in your head make it mighty loud. So bump this tune, shout it all out. Settle it down and get your shit together. Oh, come on, D.I.P. Even when I talk about them worthy, you gotta clap your hands together and say praise me. Ain't nothing in this bucket in the best. Ain't nothing in this life that's a guarantee. So what? Let it all loose and let it just be. Oh, I.P. eternity. What's above me that is me. Oh, chronic responsibility to our health, especially in America. Oh, it is so unfair that in this American healthcare system, we with chronic illnesses have a persistent chronic responsibility to be constantly advocating for our own wellness, especially when it comes to reproductive rights. Like mein Gott in Himmel, the way I know more about endometriosis than most doctors. Truly, a gynecologist I went to once said out loud to my face, "Oh wow, you know so much more about endometriosis than me. And also, you're a lesbian, right?" I'm so sorry. I'm pansexual actually, but you wouldn't know because you didn't ask. Foolish doctor. So it amazes me, but does not surprise me that we with chronic illnesses have to be religiously showing up for ourselves because Neil Armstrong, what are these people doing? And because I have met many a foolish doctor, I've had to take it upon myself to read countless health books and articles trying to get some answers about my endometriosis. And they have been very helpful with easy lifestyle changes to make, to ease symptoms, be gluten-free, exercise, recipes, meal plans, the list. There's one thing, though, that has popped up in every single health book and article that has been so highly praised, and at least for Bianca, this one thing is very hard to do, let alone try. Build a spiritual practice. Every, and I do mean every single health book and article I have read discusses how building a spiritual practice is the key to healing chronic pain. But my whole thing is like, fuck that. I've always said since I was 9 years old that if God were real, all of these terrible things would have never happened to me. And fuck all that he's testing us, blah, 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 blah. Spirituality just makes my skin crawl. To ask myself to trust that someone or something out there has got my back goes against that little curmudgeon filter that little Bianca created. And in a way, discounts all the terrible things that little Bianca went through. So in conclusion, spirituality, fuck that. But then in 2023, I began to experience an emotion that I had never truly come into contact with: grief. And it quickly became very clear to me that I would need to develop some sort of spiritual something. Because grief is very, very hard. Watching people go through grief, going through it yourself, and all that unprocessed, is delicious food for my endometriosis, creating so much pain. And this is why emotional regulation is so important for an optimal physical health. And it is very hard for me to admit, but emotional regulation is linked to a spiritual practice. Mm-hmm. And I, even after such therapy, still struggle with emotional regulation, especially when it comes to new experiences. I just keep on experiencing life things for the first time, and I'm like, enough, stop. The biggest life thing that really slapped me across the face with grief in 2023 was when I had to put my bestest friend, my rock, my kitty cat Jupiter down. That new life experience that I still don't really know how to process has led me down many nights of bad eating habits, bad endometriosis flare-ups, and very, very sleepless nights. And know, spirituality doesn't always have to mean Jesus things. People talk about the spirits and the crystals and the universe. And I guess that there is maybe something out there. But then why did they invent chronic diseases and war and Donald Trump and very excellent kitty cats dying? Grief, I think, is just one of those emotions that is more powerful than the others in its own special twisted way, and therefore affects the body in its own special twisted way. For example, did you actually know that when an endometriosis person experiences a difficult emotion like grief, these inflammatory protein called cytokine are released in the body? Cytokine. They release in what is called a cytokine storm, causing very intense pain and sometimes flu-like symptoms. And the death of my kitty cat definitely brought on many a cytokine storm. Well, actually, I would like to clarify something. The next time I can't come out or I need to cancel plans because of my endometriosis, which, by the way, is always. If I've ever canceled plans on you, 9 times out of 10, it is because I cannot get out of bed. But the next time, I'm going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. I am stuck in the middle of a cytokine storm. We'll have to reconnect when the storm passes. Anyway, I don't know if I've developed any sort of spiritual practice that greatly helps with my chronic illness. And I can't even stand up here tonight and tell you that I'm committed to my chronic responsibility of finding one, because that shit is hard. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I think what I do know is that writing this show and these songs has greatly helped me process the passing of my kitty cat Jupiter, and in turn have a better relationship with my chronic illness. Because bottling up of emotions is very, very bad, very bad. But when we bottle up emotions that we have yet to fully experience, like grief, that is a recipe for inflammatory disaster. And we cannot be having this anymore. No. So feel the feelings and know that your body knows what to do with them, even if you don't. Maybe that's the spirituality and the chronic responsibility. To just feel the motherfucking feelings. I can say, actually, that another part of my spiritual practice that has greatly helped to process the passing of my Jupiter is imagining that my Jupiter is up at the Rainbow Bridge, connected to heaven, and he looks down at me and he says, meow, 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 meow. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me translate for you. He says, you know I had to go. I know it's not any better. I need you to know that I'll love you forever. Yes, I swear, just 'cause I'm gone doesn't mean I'm not there. I got time to spare, to show you all the love I've left to give. In the trees, in the air, in the grass at your feet, rainbows beautiful and rare. You will find that I'm not going nowhere. I'll tell you about it when I see you there. See you there. See you there. I'll tell you about it when I see you there. love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more. I think the hardest thing about Jupiter's passing is that it truly does feel like I lost a very close partner. From the age of 12 to 26, he was with me through every step of my chronic illness journey. Jupiter was, in a lot of ways, my boyfriend. Only one I've had, perhaps the only one I will ever have, because relationships aren't exactly easy to come by when you have a chronic pelvic inflammatory disease. It used to bother me so much that I had never been in a real relationship. Like, would not shut up about it. And it became the entire center of my comedic persona in my stand-up group in college. But now no more, because I don't want to have sex. And it has, again, at least in my own experience, become all too clear to me that all anyone ever wants to do is have sex. And just a reminder, for those of you that I know have forgotten, sex is not great for everyone. Some of us have only ever been assaulted. Sex isn't great for everyone, but I'm glad it's great for you. Truthfully, though, I perhaps am just a little embarrassed that at the age of 27, I can only say that the only relationship I've been in is with a cat. But I gotta remember, no hiding tonight. This is the full and true Bianca. And perhaps let's take our polling on the whiteboard. I'm not alone in my lack of human relationship. Yeah, here we go. Now, who's here among us has been in 5 or more romantic relationships during their lifetime? Show of hands. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was the same as last night, too. Oh my gosh. Connection. Now, how many people have been in 2 to 5 romantic relationships during their lifetime? And a 1, and a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's more than last night. Not connection. Now, how many of us have been in just 1 relationship during our lifetime? Good, amazing. Now, how many of us have been in 0 relationships? Just me? Oh no, in the back, not just me. Glorious connection! But I won't lie. I still hope one day for a romantic relationship. Perhaps one that does include sexual intercourse. I saw this TikTok of a woman earlier this year, of a 42-year-old woman talking about how she had never ever been in a relationship, how she had never been the object of anyone's desire. And in the comment section, there were various people at multiple ages talking about how they too had never been in a relationship. And the woman in the TikTok was talking about how she still hopes for one and wants for one. And at first I was like, this woman is dumb. To have not been in a relationship has been spectacular for my life so far. Definitely not trying to be on course for a nasty divorce like my parents and over 50% of marriages. But also, perhaps we have a chronic responsibility to talk about taboo things, like being 42 and never having been in a relationship. So perhaps she is not dumb. And perhaps we all have a chronic responsibility to daydream, to picture, to manifest, to hope and know that the good things that we want in this world can happen. They can come, even if they take 50 million years to get there. And it is also okay, and perhaps not dumb, to get carried away in the daydreaming of it all. The hope. This is what I struggle with the most, especially having a disease that affects my sexual organ. I rarely have feelings of those kinds, and if I do, I suppress them and get very, very scared. I think the real reason why I've sworn off being in a relationship this past year is throughout all 5 of my assaults and childhood molestation, I have felt like such an object for people. Many years ago in college, someone invited me over to their dorm room to hang out, and it was just assumed that I would be romantically sexual with them. Like, I see. Yes, of course. I'm here for your pleasure. Got it. People don't realize that that is crazy. They get offended by me. It's weird, and that is what's really dumb. And I understand that I have a lot to work on to be able to throw myself into situations that I'm afraid of. I just wish that we could all remember that so many of us are afraid or have chronic illnesses that we are hiding in an attempt to be normal. And we should just acknowledge that instead of sucking each other's elbows or whatever you all do. Anyway, the chronic responsibility to daydream, to picture, to manifest what we wish for in this world. So very difficult to commit yourself to get your hopes up, even if it's oh so very, 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 oh so very, very, very scary and romantic. Oh, fine. I guess I'll try right now. Maybe there could be a world where I met a man at the prime of my life, with a kind soul and piercing eyes, and a gentleness that I had never been privileged to. Took a while to draw me in, ice got broken, got to skin, the past kept me feeling strange. With all the unkind fire to stay. I wished you'd go, I prayed and prayed, to my chagrin, I heard I'll stay, make way for this unwanted mystery. I dream of having when I close my eyes, too easy to care, sick of lonely nights, found myself fighting for my destiny, 'cause his eyes said, stay with me, just stay. Don't gotta think about it, better yet, don't think about it. Everything gets a little better when you do. Would you just not think about it? Take a deep breath and live without it. 'Cause everything gets a little easier when I'm with you. You said, I know you're scared to start. Travel down a road that's long and far away from all the precious good that you've never known. Just look up and see the stars. Rest your head upon my heart. I won't let you ignore it anymore. Just know my love means so much more. So he took them out, he shot them down, all the secrets in my head, bleeding out in a blaze of glory. And for a while I thought I knew my love was right, my love was true, baby. You gotta get out of your own story and stay with me. Just stay with me. Don't gotta think about it. Better yet, don't think about it. Everything gets a little better when you do. Won't you just not think about it? Take a deep breath and live without it. 'Cause everything gets a little easier when I'm with you. You said, I know you're scared to start. Travel down a road that's long and far away from all the precious good that you've never known. Just look up and see the stars. Rest your head upon my heart. I won't let you ignore it anymore. Just know my love means so much more. I guess that kind of relationship could maybe at one point be possible for Bianca. It's nice to daydream and think about, I guess. A world where every single core belief I've created for myself is changed into something better. A world where I can be romantically loved and cared for without needing to be anyone or anything but myself. A world where my partner understands my chronic illness and understands the limitations it has put and continues to put on me and loves me no matter what. And I can be happy with this person and not ashamed of this disease. But that has not happened yet. And I've had the life I've had and the experiences I've had. And that makes me so worthy of a relationship where I'm not just this thing for others to get pleasure out of. Because just in case you forgot, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sex isn't great for everyone. Some of us have only ever been assaulted or have chronic diseases that have our stress lesions flare up if we have an orgasm. Sex isn't great for everyone, but I'm so glad it's great for you. Actually, I'm not glad that it's great for you. It isn't exactly the best feeling watching others have a great time with something that has historically not been so great for you. Sarcasm. The moral center of Curmudgeon Bianca. It's just easier to be sarcastic and secretly mad about things than feign happiness for other people. Am I right? Or am I right?
You're right.
Yeah. And still I want to be happy. I know I can be. I have been in the past. You know, just Curmudgeon Bianca is hard to fight sometimes. But I guess it is good to fight her because all that daydreaming about my perfect romantic life, you know, was nice. So perhaps I am glad that sex is great for you. And perhaps one day it could be great for me too. Well, actually, I just assumed that it was great for you. I shouldn't have done that. So perhaps, is there anyone here that has had a bad experience with sex? Maybe one time? Everyone, of course. What? Oh, look at this. So much data we've collected. Everyone's done something fucked up. Everyone has a chronic illness. Everyone's had a bad experience with sex. We're a little split on the relationship thing, but that's okay, you know? And with this data, we can draw a numerous amount of conclusions. Conclusions could be drawn, leading us to answers. Answers that could shape the very fabric of the future. A future, perhaps, where slices of chocolate cake line the streets, and we could all have universal health care. Yes. Yeah. We also learned so much about endometriosis and chronic illnesses, and how over 60% of the population lives with at least one chronic illness. I think it's also important to remember that a fair amount of those are silent, unseen. You cannot tell. There are people that have known me for years that would have never known about my endometriosis, if not for this show. You know someone who has endometriosis. I mean, me, obviously. But you also know someone else. Because as we have also learned, 1 out of 10 uterus people have endometriosis. Do you know 10 people? You know someone who has endometriosis, yes. I think, though, the biggest and most significant piece of information that I've learned from this show is that this thing that has lived inside me for the better part of my life, ravaged my insides, has made me bedridden for days, sometimes weeks at a time, has also made me an artist. And Bianca, as an artist, is unbelievably hysterically funny. Yes, and all that time being bedridden has made me a lover of movies and television and acting and storytelling. Endometriosis has filled me with such a depth of understanding of pain when it comes to the human condition, both physical and mental. Endometriosis has made me a profound singer and writer. Endometriosis has taught me how to funnel my emotions into art. Messy, imperfect, excellent art. Endometriosis has given me that signature Bianca twist, that pop of zaniness that is and only is Bianca. Endometriosis has made me Bianca. And for the longest time, I was so ungrateful for it. Like it was some sort of chronic curse, which it does feel like from time to time, very often from time to time. But I think, in addition to all the chronic responsibilities my chronic illness has given me, the chronic responsibility to forgive myself, the chronic responsibility to take accountability for myself and my illness, the chronic responsibility to process with spirituality, whatever the fuck that means, the chronic responsibility to stay on this planet and tell my story. In addition to all of those, I think the biggest chronic responsibility that I'm going to commit myself to going forward is remembering how the story of that 9-year-old girl who just got her period brought both positives and negatives. I mean, a year after the swimming pool incident, I got the lead in the school play. So too long have I only harped on the negatives, which has been no good for my chronic illness. I mean, this chronic illness, which has given me so much chronic responsibility, wrote this freaking show. Like what? So there are many positives and negatives and life and death and loss and sadness and so much profound joy. And I am overjoyed by my life, by my art, by myself, and this wonderful MCS community, and the 4.5 years I have spent on this stage discovering and rediscovering myself in so many ways. So if you want to get to my level of mental litness, you just got to learn how to coexist among disaster. Stop pining for happily ever after, 'cause you know, or so you've been told, the happiness awaits on the journey. Those evil voices just complicate your complexion. Keep them out, don't be love your feedback. And don't leave without saying goodbye to Bianca. Goodbye.
I'm not ready.
Thank you for watching on the live stream.